I was lowering my boat when the gate camera blinked red permit violation filed 0817 echoed from the speaker. The HOA's Karen shouted that I'd launched without approval, waving her phone as if it were law. So I pulled my stamped notice and read the code aloud. The crowd froze when I showed the body cam log Federal Waterway jurisdiction over HOA claims, then the officer's pen stopped midair. "Receipts don't lie," I said, watching the lake steady under the flagpole. Finally, someone fought back. The siren chirped once and died. I stood at the boat ramp with the winch handle warm in my palm and the bow line looped to my wrist. HOA security paced the yellow curb phone to his ear eyes on me like he'd spotted a leak. 911, we have an intruder at the community launch, he said. Male, mid-50s, refusing directives. I'm lowering my boat with a filed permit, I said. Check the stamp. Filed, 412-07, received, 08-17. You can't launch without HOA authorization, he snapped. Authorization is the river, I said. Read the permit. A patrol car rolled in, lights off. The officer stepped out with a narrow notebook and a face that had seen too many Saturday mornings go sideways. Morning, he said. What's the issue? He's trespassing on HOA-controlled waters, the guard said. He was warned last week. Sir, the officer asked me. Name's Jackson, I said. Inherited a slip and the cabin. My permit is valid. I lifted the manila folder. Timestamp's clean. The stamp means nothing here, the guard said. It means everything I said. Across the lot, the diner stalls backed up to the fence. Coffee steam lifted over truck roofs. The post office drop box sat dented and honest blue. Let me see the permit, the officer said. I handed it over. He leaned on the fender and read. It says filed, FAR 12-07 received, 08-17, he said. Issuing, Clerk, Reeves County Harbor Office, I said. Footer has the number. Call it. Don't let him move that boat, the guard insisted. This launch is HOA property. We have covenants. Do covenants cross federal water? I asked. The officer's pen paused. His radio crackled once, then hushed. Why's the HOA seal a different plate tone? He asked. New branding kit, the guard said. Updated this month. Seal looks off, the officer said. Sir, he asked me, do you intend to launch? After you verify the stamp, I said. I'm not here to pick a fight. I'm here to stop a habit. What habit? Expanding a line? Because paper is quiet, I said. A second patrol car idled behind the mailbox. The guard hovered closer, staying outside, arm's length, chin high as a rule book. Step away from the winch, he ordered. Policy prohibits launches on assessment days. Policy doesn't defeat a permit, I said. Policy defines safety, he said. Read the footer, I said. The officer read aloud. Harbor Office. Title 33 reference. Mean high water datum. His eyes came up. Title 33. You cited Federal Waterway Codes for a neighborhood launch, I did, I said. Because the river didn't sign your covenants. ID, please, he said. Front pocket, I said, and deed transfer if needed. He checked my license and the deed copy, then tapped his phone and put it on speaker. Harbor Office. A tired voice answered. This is Officer Finch, he said. Verifying permit filed FAR 12-07 received 08-17 issued by Reeves. That's ours, the voice said. Valid for launch. Mean high water controls. HOA has no claim below that line. We have safety obligations, the guard said. Obligations aren't jurisdiction, I said. The officer nodded once. Sir, you may proceed. Hold on, the guard said. He was warned last week. Warned for what I asked. Unauthorized occupancy, he said. He stayed overnight at the cabin without approval. It's my cabin, I said. You don't approve grief. Wind stiffened the yellow notice taped to the gate. It flapped once, then slapped metal like a slow metronome. Let me be plain, I said toward the minivan where Mrs. Keegan filmed. This permit is valid. The boundary is federal. Questions go to the county. Doubts, bring your chart. Don't address bystanders, the guard said. Bystanders own this place, I said. Jackson, the officer warned. Keep it between us. Copy, I said. But what stays quiet turns loud when no one reads. The winch clicked a tooth. The bow nudged the rollers. Are we done? I asked. We are, the officer said. Launch with caution. We'll appeal, the guard said, reaching for dignity and coming up short. Receipts don't lie. People do, I said. One question, the officer said. What exactly does Title 33 do for you here? It sits in the record, I said. It outlives noise. Fair enough, he said. I eased the hull into the water. The line went tight against my wrist. The current drew a clean line away from the concrete. You still can't use the dock, the guard barked. Which portion, I asked. All of it, he said. Mean, high water says otherwise, I said. You can mark asphalt. You can't mark a tide. He brought paperwork, Mrs. Keegan called. Where's yours? The guard froze. The officer closed his notebook and let the silence land. Keep the ramp clear, the officer told him. Let him go. Text me the harbor number, the officer told me. Done, I said, reading it off. Footer line, last 4 digits, 1137. Copy. The guard paced the yellow curb like paint could grow into river if he stared long enough. I'll be back with a notice, he said. Bring it in daylight, I said. So, the stamp shows on camera. Policy is policy, he said. Law is law, I said. I stepped aboard and coiled the wet line. Anything else I should know, the officer asked. Yes, I said. The HOA seal on that notice, wrong emboss. Your photo will show it. You expect pushback, he said. I expect printing, I said. Pushback is loud. Printing is patient. Send me the file, he said. You'll have it by noon, I said. The guard stared at puddles like they might turn into borders he could claim. They wouldn't. Jackson, the officer, called once more. Keep the channel open. It already is, I said. His body cam pinged. He glanced down, then read. Call log 0819. Verification complete. He lifted my permit so the header filled his lens. The stamp hit the clipboard with a clean thunk. Filed 4/22/07. Received 08/17. The sun hadn't cleared the tree line when I saw it, a yellow violation notice flapping on my dock gate, stapled crooked edges wet from dew. The red ink bled through the paper like it was ashamed to be there. I peeled it up by one corner. Unauthorized structure. It read bold enough to shout at a man still holding his coffee. Below, smaller print HOA jurisdiction extended per updated boundary map. That line stopped me cold. The HOA had drawn 10 more feet of authority straight into federal water. Inside the diner, the smell of hash browns and bacon couldn't sweeten the taste of that word jurisdiction. The soda cooler hummed a steady note behind me as I laid the notice on the counter. Edna, the post clerk, squinted through her readers. They changed the shoreline again. Looks like it, I said. New boundary, same arrogance. Bill, a neighbor in his work boots, slid into the booth. Thought that dock was yours since your uncle's day. It still is, I said. But paper travels faster than boats. Edna flipped the notice over. They stamped this at 7:42. Post office opened at 8. How's that possible? I smiled without meaning to. It's not. Their clock runs on wishful thinking. Shatu. The phone behind the counter rang once, then again. The hum of the cooler filled the pause before Edna picked up. Diner line. She listened, then looked at me. County office wants to talk to you. I took the receiver. Morrison here. This is county survey, a man said. Got your facts about the HOA extension. You were right. Old plat stops 10 feet short of that dock. Appreciate the confirmation, I said. Send the copy. It's printing now. You'll see the stamp, top right received 0811. Thank you, I said. That's earlier than their version. Which means one of us knows how to tell time, Shadu. Bill grinned. You're really taking this up the ladder, just climbing with paper, I said. No shouting, no swinging. You're gonna need proof, he said. I've got proof, I said, tapping the folded certified letter receipt in my shirt pocket. and a witness list sitting right here at the counter. He raised his mug. Then, let's make sure they know the difference between a map and a mirror. An hour later, I stood by the copier in the back corner of the diner. The county plat rolled out in warm sheets. Black ink rivers, gray contour lines, and one sharp discrepancy circled in red. I pinned both maps side by side on the corkboard by the register, the county plat, and the HOA jurisdiction map. The diner went quiet enough to hear the ceiling fan. Edna looked up. "Well, that's not subtle." "No," I said, "but neither is stealing shoreline." The mismatch was obvious. The HOA boundary cut across the public ramp and into federal blue. My name still printed at the edge. Jackson Morrison, permit holder, Fiertanter 12, EO 7. Bill whistled. They didn't even move the scale bar. Because lies like company, I said. Outside, BBQ smoke drifted from the food truck by the lot, turning the air sweet and sharp. A couple of old-timers leaned on their pickups watching the scene through the diner window. "You think they'll back down?" Bill asked. "They'll double down," I said. "That's what power does when it's scared." He nodded slowly. "Then we better have our pages in order." I folded the plat, slid it into my envelope, and tapped the edge against the counter until it squared up. Organized pages beat organized lies. Edna smiled. "That sounds like something to print on the receipt." "Do it," I said. "Let them pay for truth with breakfast." By noon, the diner wall had turned into a community notice board. Every customer added a note. Saw guard remove old sign photo of gate. 6:45 a.m. Noise complaint dropped. The air buzzed with something better than gossip clarity. A man from the next town over pointed at the circle on the plat. "That blue, that's federal jurisdiction, right? Title 33 says so," I said. "They're calling it HOA safety buffer. I call it trespass by toner." He chuckled. "Guess the map's your next weapon." "It's not a weapon," I said. "It's a mirror. They just don't like what it shows." Later that afternoon, I mailed the certified copy to the HOA office. The clerk slid it under the glass with a raised brow. "Dispute form?" she asked. "Correction, notice," I said. "Truth doesn't file itself." She stamped the receipt, received 1502, and handed it back. Outside, the flag on the pole hung limp in the heat. The gate notice still flapped, half torn, half defiant. I stood there long enough for one page of silence, long enough to hear the diner, cooler, hum through the open window. "If safety is true," I said quietly, "why forge the shoreline?" The harbor office smelled like old charts and brave coffee. Fluorescent tubes hummed over a light table scarred by decades of pencil ticks. A woman in a blue windbreaker stepped out holding a clear sleeve of overlays. "Mr. Morrison, Coast Guard," she said. Voice steady as tide. "Let's read your waterline correctly." "I could use that," I said. The HOA drew 10 feet of confidence into the river. She set the sleeve down and unrolled a laminated grid. "I'm Chief Petty Officer Dana Cole. We're going to stick to datum and paper, not opinions." I nodded. A clerk wheeled over a small projector, its fan giving a soft whir. Cole slid the first overlay onto the light table. The river came alive in thin blue lines, station markers printed like heartbeat blips. "Coordinates you sent were 34.220007 by 117.000039, she said. "Let's verify." I tapped the corner of my permit. Filed 4/12/07. Received 08/17. Harbor confirmed. She glanced at it, then at me. "I read your stamp in the officer's body cam. So did half the neighborhood," I said. "Which is the point?" Cole checked the grid. "Mean high water sits here," she said, pinning a clear square with 2 fingers. "Your dock cleats are 4 feet waterward of HOA authority." The clerk eased the county sheet on top. The mismatch screamed under the plexi. "Stop," Cole said. We looked. The HOA boundary on their mailed jurisdiction map had a curve that didn't match the channel's bend. The dashed line fattened where the printer had struggled. "That's not chart symbology," she said. "Somebody traced this by hand." I exhaled. Hand with a budget. Cole nodded. A volunteer with a ruler and a goal. She pointed to the HOA seal printed in the corner. And that new branding kit I said deadpan. She took out a loop and bent to the paper. Plate tone's wrong. Emboss shadow doesn't agree with the font weight. This is a bad copy. Can we prove that without turning this into a shouting match? I asked. She slid a metal die from a felt pouch and set it on the desk. The thing looked like a coin that learned discipline. She pressed it into a blank certification slip and leaned into the lever press bolted to the counter. The room clicked, then held a single calm second. Silent beat the die's heat fading back into steel. Cole lifted the paper. Federal emboss. Registered. Compare. We set the real emboss next to the HOA seal on their print. The difference wasn't subtle. The ridge on the real one caught light. The HOA circle sulked in matte black. Ink remembers what voices forget, she said. I waited for the weight of that sentence to land. It did. The clerk grinned into his sleeve. Let's record your coordinates clean, Cole said. Then we'll prep you for a public hearing. If they've published an altered shoreline, we correct the record in daylight. I nodded. Daylight is my brand. She rolled the wheel. Your slip is waterword of HOA authority. Title 33 goes into the record at hearing. Pens last longer than kitchen gossip, I said. The clerk set a hardware pegboard against the wall, rulers hanging from hooks. Cole brought a fresh overlay to the glass. I need 3 things: certified mail receipt, their map, and your permit. I spread my folder. Green card, signed S. Walker, received 1502, HOA with the flat seal and the permit. She initialed boxes. Good chain of custody. The clerk powered the emboss press again and aligned a blank slip. Cole pressed the lever. The crest flowered into the paper with a crisp rim. Keep that slip with your charts, she said. It's our certification that these overlays were viewed here under our station's instruments. It's not an argument, I said. It's a lamp. Exactly, she said. The phone rang. The clerk listened, eyebrow up. HOA office just asked for a copy of our tide table, says they're reviewing resident safety near ramps. Cole tapped the bad seal with her pen. Safety starts where honesty starts. Her pen paused above the calendar. County Forum. Tuesday, 6 p.m. You'll present the overlay on the big projector. We'll be in uniform to answer questions about datum. You'll stick to facts. I don't do drama, I said. You do calm, she said. Calm beats loud. She dimmed the overheads so the overlays glowed. We walked the sequence: federal base map, county plat, HOA print, then the emboss comparison under a camera. Cole timed each panel with a small kitchen timer. 2 minutes per panel, she said, then pause. Let the silence work for you. Silence terrifies people who depend on pressure, I said. Then we'll give them some, she said. The clerk dropped the HOA map onto the glass. The curve jumped where it shouldn't. The error felt loud from across the room. Cole pushed a clipboard my way. Sign that you reviewed with us, station annotation time, and your permit number. I signed. She countersigned with her grade and unit number. The clerk numbered the slips and slid them into a flat envelope that felt heavier than paper. Last question, Cole said. Do you have anyone who'll try to turn this into a personality fight? HOA security likes volume, Y said. A board chair likes spectacle. Neither gets a microphone, she said. At least not first. I nodded. I'll keep my answers small. Good. Small answers force better questions. She walked to a drawer, took out a metal tag stamped with a serial, and clipped it to the envelope string. The tag made a small bright sound against the clasp. Your prop today is the federal seal, she said. Partial validated. It will be complete when the notice is rescinded on camera. Understood, I said. Cole pointed at the old slide cart near the wall. We'll need the big projector for Tuesday. The clerk checked a clipboard with a pencil stub. It's open. Cole clicked her pen, wrote in a neat block projector booked 2:06 p.m. She tore the slip and handed it to me. The ink looked permanent because it was. The map projector was officially ours. The county hallway ran on a tired buzz. The clerk adjusted his glasses. Name, he said. Jackson, I said. Morrison. Filing what temporary trespass relief order, I said. TTRO. Exhibits A through D. Basis, unauthorized boundary expansion. Tampering with a seal. I have the time. He slid the cover sheet beneath the die. Stamping, he said. Thunk. Received. 03-17. Docket will follow, he said. Good, I said. Make it visible. Public hall, he said. Screen and chairs. We pushed the projector cart into the adjoining room. Folding chairs faced a pull-down screen. Borrow those church tables, I asked. 2 on wheels, he said. Projector's ready, he added. It hums before it helps. Roll it, I said. Rolling, he said. The boat ramp still hit the screen, 03-16-49, hand near the signpost. Freeze there, I said. Frozen, he said. 03-17-02. The gloved fingers pinched the edge of a round sticker. The ridge of my Federal emboss showed shallow but sure. Is that your seal? He asked. It is, I said. And it isn't. 3-17-06. Peel. 03-17-10. Lift. Printing, he said. A fresh sheet slid out with the corner time code and camera ID. Overlay, the clerk asked. Overlay, I said. Base county, then theirs, he said. Base map first, he said, pulling it up. Now the county plat. And their print, he said, slapping it on top. The HOA curve jumped across the waterline where it had no right to live. He stared longer than a clerk usually does. They really traced this, he said. Traced a wish, I said. Next, still, 03-17-18. A different circle pressed to the post. The edge looked dead flat, no light catch. That's the counterfeit, I said. Matte toner. No ridge. Looks flat even to me, he said. Light won't catch. Exhibit D, he said. Printed. The projector's fan lifted and settled. Hear that wind down, he said. Let it land, I said. He lined the TTRO cover under the die. Pressing, he said, and pressed. Filed TERO. 0317 sat beside the first mark ink twin to ink. Truth stamped once doesn't fade, I said. He glanced up. You practice that line. It practices me. Okay, he said. Attach in sequence, he said. A through D. Checked, I said. Exhibit A, my permit, Farter 12-07 in clean type. Exhibit B, the chart overlay with the Federal emboss. Exhibit C, gate cam stills at 0317, 02 through 10. Exhibit D, counterfeit applied at 18. This gets heavy fast, he said. Wait is the point, I said. A woman from the basement staff carried in pens. Which agenda slot, she asked. Public filings, the clerk said, moving this one to the top. She eyed the screen. That the ramp, she said. Yes, ma'am, I said. They're calling it safety. It looks like reach. My husband launches there, she said. He'll like this airing. Attach in sequence, the clerk repeated. Clipped, he said, when the metal bit closed. We rolled the cart back toward the door. Same hall, same hum, he said. It suits truth, I said. Walk it to the hall, he said. Walk it, I said. Screen's clean, he said. 2 neighbors eased in at the back. Company, he whispered. They can watch, I said. You'll present it too, the clerk said. Keep it to facts. The picture works. I'll keep my answers small, I said. He nodded. Small answers force better questions. Then we'll ask some, I said. He fed the copier. Listen, he said. Buzz means it's alive. Cover permit overlay stills docket, he counted. Clip them, I said. Clipped, he said. Anything else, he asked. Receipt stamp on the sign-in, I said. Time matters. He stamped the sheet. Received 11:21. Your prop, he said, tapping the embossed slip. Federal seal R, cracked exposed. I slid it into a clear sleeve and clipped it to the top of the board. Public calendar posts at the quarter hour, he said. Then we watch, I said. We stepped into the main corridor. A teenager in a Marina hoodie raised a phone. Public record, the clerk said. The hallway took on a seat-shifting rustle. Neighbors, he said. Good, I said. We waded through a zoning matter. An easement dispute breathed, then died. 2 minutes, the clerk said. Copy, I said. Breathe, he said. Dust shakes off, I said when he eyed the cart. He nodded. Machines keep grudges. Raise it, he asked. 2 inches, I said. Base county. Theirs, he rehearsed under his breath. Cadence, I said. Permit, datum, overlay, 0317, counterfeit docket, ask. The clerk unlocked the filing board, a curled wire on his keyring trembling once. Key still works, he said. He slid a red tab into the slot labeled Public Calendar. The bulb glowed, then brightened. That's our slot, he said. We hold it, I said. The strip scrolled, stopped, then steadied. The room was standing room only. A metal tool bench cart had been rolled to the front and dressed as a lectern. A thick blue binder, Title 33, sat on it like it weighed the hour. The gavel cracked once. The ceiling fans stopped mid-rotation as if the strike had pulled their cords. On the record, the clerk said, County hearing on jurisdiction and ramp access. Name the officer said. Jackson Morrison, I said. Counsel, he said. Sterling Property Management for Pine Ridge HOA, their attorney said. Bulletin board tacks lined the back wall like brass freckles. I set the transcript header and exhibit list. Proceed, the officer said. I opened the binder. Reading into the record Title 33. The mic popped. Section 329. I said clean and slow. Jurisdiction navigable waters and appurtenant structures. Where federal lines are established, subordinate property instruments yield. Objection to characterization. Overruled, the officer said. We will hear the language. Where a federal baseline is charted and maintained, no subordinate map or private covenant may abridge access or alter the boundary. Paper outlives noise. Exhibit B, I said. Federal datum, overlay, embossed. Exhibit C said. Gate, camera stills, 0317. Exhibit D. Shai said, counterfeit seal. Point to the datum. The HOA relies on the officer said. I slid their map under the projector. Here, I said, tapping the shoreline extension. Unlabeled shift 10 feet into the water. No datum source. No coast survey citation. Council HOA acted in good faith to protect safety. Launch traffic has increased. The line clarifies. Clarifies with toner, I said. Even if the federal datum controls, the HOA controls gates and keys. We can regulate launch hours. Keys, the officer said, glancing at me. Do you possess them? Not yet, I said. I lifted the small ring I'd brought from the cabin. An empty carabiner caught the light. T's only. Pending transfer. Note that keys are an outstanding matter, the officer said. Noted, the clerk replied. I lifted the TTRO. Received, 0317. Exhibit E, I said. Filed when the tampering was discovered. We ask to recognize the federal baseline restore access and invalidate the private obstruction. Ms. Walker leaned to her mic. We acted for safety, she said. Ramped boats were drifting toward children. Show the incident reports, I said. The officer turned a page. Do you have reports? Our manager collected concerns verbally, the attorney said. We can supplement. Today, the officer said we deal in paper. We rolled the cart. The overlay went up. The red federal line met the gray bulge and held its ground. That line controls, he said. A low murmur moved across the rows. Exhibit F, I said, tapping the sign-in sheet, received 1121. Chain of custody for today. Their attorney tried again. The HOA retains authority over common area gates. The record will reflect the limits of that authority, the officer said. I set a body cam call log. Excerpt 0317. Removal of a round seal at the post. That aligns with the stills, the officer said. It does, I said. And with the embossed differences. I lifted the counterfeit and the true seal together edge to edge. One caught the light alive. One died in it, flat and wrong. "Do you contest the authenticity of the federal emboss?" the officer asked. "We reserve the right to have it evaluated." "An engineer," he said. "Coast Survey owns that," the officer said. "Mrs. Alvarez." A voice called from the third row, "We've paid for those maps. If they're wrong, we want refunds." "Public comment after ruling," the officer said. "The record has that question." "Proposed findings," I said, placing a single page. 1. Federal baseline governs. 2. Private overlay. Void. 3. Keys to the launch held in trust by the clerk until a corrected map is filed. "Premature," the attorney said. "It's procedural," I said. "You came here to make a spectacle," he said. "I came here to read, and to bring paper. You won't win the narrative," he said. "Paper outlives noise," I said. The officer tipped his glasses down and watched the red line. "Why remove a seal at 0317 if safety was the goal?" "I can't speak to that," the attorney said. "Then the record will," the officer said. "Just this," I said. "We lived under a gray shape drawn where it didn't belong. Today, the red line returns." Finally, someone fought back. The fans paused on the gavel strike a silent beat and then resumed as if the room itself agreed. "Findings," the officer said. "By preponderance, the federal datum controls. The HOA overlay lacks authority. Pending corrected filings, keys to the launch will be held by the clerk. We intend to appeal." The attorney said. "That is your right," the officer said. "But today's ruling stands." I looked at the cart. The Title 33 binder rested closed. The map stayed up red upon gray, law upon toner. The officer leaned into the mic. His voice came out quiet, final, and level. "HOA claim is void, AB initio." The parking lot shimmered with morning heat when the marshal stepped out of his cruiser. He held a thin folder and a fresh notice with the county seal stamped in red. "Order posted 4/12/07 effective." "Now," he read. Behind him, the HOA gate waited open still and unsure. A few residents leaned against their mailboxes. The post office lobby camera dome blinked once, catching the reflection of the keys in his palm. I nodded. "We're ready." The clerk rolled a cart from his trunk, a folding table clipboard, and a small metal press. The same press that had stamped "Received 0317. Its hinge squeaked like memory. "Keys first," the marshal said. The HOA attorney sighed. "For the record, this is a peaceful handoff." "That's how records begin," the clerk said. We laid the forms flat. "Key transfer Pine Ridge HOA to county clerk in trust. 6 numbered hooks, 3 padlocks, 2 spares. Each key was tied with a small red tag." The clerk counted aloud. 1 through 6. "Confirmed," the marshal said. Signatures, the clerk added. Pens scratched. The hollow sound of bureaucracy closing a loop. Across the street, the BBQ stand's radio murmured classic rock. A song about highways and promises. Smoke drifted soft and civic. The HOA president reached for the final ring. Her hand trembled a little. "We never meant—" The marshal shook his head gently. "Intent isn't ownership." She nodded and set the keys down. "Seal," the clerk said. He pressed the die into the paper. Certified 4/12/07 compliance flared in red. A quiet cheer rose from the mailboxes. The air smelled like pencil shavings and barbecue. The marshal straightened. "Locks next." We walked to the gate. The hinges groaned a hollow creak that made everyone still. The old padlock dangled open, its brass worn smooth by years of wrong turns. The clerk clicked a new one into place and spun the dial. Silent beat, the metal snapped shut. "Order is the loudest sound in peace," I said. The marshal smiled. "Good line. Keep it." He taped the order-posted notice beside the keypad. The paper fluttered once, then flattened against the wind. The photographer from the county office took 2 frames, the order, the lock, and the gathered hands. "Proof complete," he said. "File name, Gate Seal Transfer A1207. We returned to the cart. The clerk signed the log. The HOA attorney initialed below. Transfer acknowledged, he said quietly. The marshal held up the envelope. Inside, the keys clinked like coins in deep water. Property under federal authority as of this hour, he said. The BBQ radio cut to static. For a second, the whole street listened to nothing. The clerk folded the copy of the order and slid it into the binder. "You'll get your notice by mail," he told the attorney. "Understood," she said. We wheeled the cart back toward the cruiser. The post office dome still blinked above the entry glass, recording each small motion. The marshal stopped, looked once at the gate, and spoke for the record. Locks changed. Keys in custody. Notice posted. He handed me the duplicate seal slip. "Your file." The ink was still warm when I tucked it under the binder flap. "Feels quiet," the clerk said. "It's supposed to," I answered. He looked back at the gate. The red notice caught sun, bright and absolute. He took out a small banner from the evidence bag, vinyl folded twice, and pinned it across the top rail. Bold letters glowed against the metal. The flagpole rope ticked steady in the wind, the sound of small order holding its breath. The folding tables stood end to end by the ramp, one for checks, one for receipts, one for the ledger stamped, "Paid in full." "Next name," the clerk said. He flipped a page, the red ink neat as habit. "Mr. Dawes," he called. The old contractor stepped forward, thumbed the edge of his cap. "Didn't think I'd ever see this line move." The clerk smiled thin. Neither did the printer. Thunk, the stamp hit the stub. A curl of BBQ smoke from the stand drifted past the pier, low and sweet. The crowd shuffled closer, but stayed quiet. I leaned against the dock rail. The wood flexed under my boot, then settled the silent beat before applause no one dared start. Next, the clerk said again, "Ms. Alvarez. She came up with her daughter. You said full refund." "Every dollar assessed for the false boundary," he said. "Paper proof on the left, signature on the right." Her pen shook. "Feels like we're signing daylight back." "Silence is justice breathing," I said. The words slipped out before I meant them to, and a few heads turned nodding like they'd been waiting for a sound to match the day. A gull circled, then veered inland. Across the street, the BBQ radio whispered a gospel line through static, "You reap what you mend." The clerk stamped again. "Paid in full," thunk, echoing through the tables. Karen passed behind the line, toolbox in hand. The crowd parted without prompting. No words from her, just the small metal clatter of wrenches against the handle. She nodded once at the flag, then kept walking toward the maintenance shed. The rope ticked again. The flag lifted once, caught light, and steadied. Minnie Cliff. The marshal called out, "Final signature, Miss Walker." The HOA president hesitated, then stepped forward. Her hand hovered above the pen. "You don't have to say anything," the clerk told her. She nodded, signed, and let the paper slide back. The sound was soft as a leaf dropping. Thunk, stamp, "Paid in full." He tore the stub past her copy. "You're clear," he said. She turned, walked toward the lot, and didn't look back. One by one, the envelopes disappeared from the table until only the ledger and the press remained. The dock boards creaked once more, then went quiet, perfectly level. The clerk gathered the remaining forms and set them in a folder marked Order Execution Log. The red seal from yesterday glowed faint under the plastic. A boy in a marina hoodie tugged his dad's sleeve. "Is it over?" "For now," the man said. "That's how peace sounds." The marshal locked the cash box and checked the time. "Sunrise tomorrow," he said. "Plaque unveiling. Same place. Who's carving it?" someone asked. "County Works," he said. "Same steel, same letters." He nodded toward the gate where the red banner still hung tight and bright under federal authority. The clerk snapped the binder shut. The echo bounced once across the water and vanished, small but exact. I stood for a moment, feeling the quiet settle in layers, paper seal tied. "Dock's level again," the clerk said. "About time," I said. He handed me the last envelope, my refund folded with the original receipt. "Keep it," I said. "Frame the stamp instead." He smiled. "Paper outlives noise, right?" "Right," I said. The BBQ smoke thinned. The wind turned upriver, and somewhere beyond the bend a fish jumped and left a perfect ring of ripples, then nothing but reflection. The rope on the flagpole tapped twice steady as a metronome marking the end of a song. The sunrise came clean and low across the water, a gold line climbing the flagpole before touching the new brass plate. The words caught first Federal Waters Community Stewardship 2025. It shone like it had always been there. The new board members worked quiet sleeves-rolled gloves still powdered with dust from polishing. The marshal watched from the gate, arms crossed. The clerk held a clipboard checking off each line of the installation form. Mounting bolts secure, he asked. "Double-checked," one of the volunteers said. The drill's last whir faded into the morning. "Seal log addendum," the clerk said, signing the bottom margin. "Maintenance update installed 0604. Steam rose from a paper cup on the dock bench, curling over the still surface like something sacred but ordinary. A flyer for the new ramp hours fluttered against the bulletin board. Open 0600, 2000. Access public. The flag rope ticked twice, then stilled. "Raise it," the marshal said. The smallest of the volunteers, maybe 18 baseball cap backward, pulled the line. The flag lifted slow and right, the brass plate beneath it flashing red, then white, then blue. The reflection trembled once on the water and steadied. Silent beat a single shorebird called somewhere upriver, thin and clean, as if to check whether the echo still worked. I stood near the rail, tying a red string into a simple knot. It was the last piece of the old boundary rope, washed, dried, kept for this. "You keeping that there?" the clerk asked. "For memory," I said. "Not warning." He nodded. "Fair trade." We both looked out. The water didn't move much, just breathed. Behind us, someone laughed, soft, surprised. The kind of laugh that starts when you realize the noise is finally gone. The BBQ stand was already warming coals. The scent of oak and sauce drifted toward the pier. The post office dome caught a glint of light and threw it back like approval. The clerk closed the binder, last page marked Order E, Restored, Enshrined. The marshal approached the plaque, placed one gloved hand against its edge. "Feels steady," he said. "It'll hold," I said. He looked at the reflection again. "Paper to metal. Not bad." Finally, someone fought back, I said. He smiled and stayed polite about it. "That's the trick," I said. He stepped aside, motioned to the volunteers. "Get your picture now. The water's calm." The youngest aimed his phone. The lens caught flag plaque and river together. For a moment, the light made it all one surface law place memory. "Hold it there," the clerk said. "Perfect." They froze for the frame, then lowered the phone. No speeches, no applause, just the steady lapping of water against the pilings and the hum of a far-off boat motor starting its day. I sat on the dock bench, hands around the coffee cup, the steam folding into the air. The brass plate gleamed bright enough to read twice, once in metal, once in the mirrored water below. The rope on the flagpole knocked again as if to say, "Enough." The marshal tipped his cap and turned toward the parking lot. The clerk followed, flipping the binder closed with a soft click. I stayed, watched the red string sway in the breeze. The sun cleared the tree line. The plate shone full. Fade on ripples reflecting the plaque story closed. The brass plaque caught the first full light, its seal warm against the metal. The notice by the gate still read, "Posted Order February 07." The ink dry, the meaning alive. Around the dock, neighbors traded small nods instead of noise. The flag rope ticked once and steadied. I ran a thumb across the raised letters. Law turned solid memory, made clean. Justice isn't loud, it's steady. What mattered wasn't the argument, but the follow-through, the patience to make paper mean something again. The plaque held the water, mirrored it, and for a breath, everything was level. Finally, someone fought back. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.